Welcome to the Dance Centre podcast. I am your host, Claire French, and I'm joining you from the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh peoples, also known as Vancouver, Canada. I'll be talking to dancers, choreographers and other members of the dance world here on the West Coast to find out more about their creative work and practices, and to discuss what it means to us to be dance professionals today. Thanks for joining us. Davi Rodrigues is originally from Brazil, where he trained and worked professionally as a dancer, choreographer and director, performing and touring across Brazil and internationally. He studied physical education at the Universidade Católica de Brasília while training and performing as a dancer. Davi also studied classical ballet while he was in Brazil. For over 15 years, he created, directed and danced in 8 full-length shows with his own company. He has built a rich career as an award-winning dancer and choreographer and is renowned for his passion and vision. Davi was a highly regarded faculty member of the International Dance Seminar in Brasilia, Brazil, and he continues to choreograph and work as a mentor and adjudicator. In 2008, he moved to Canada to work as a dancer and guest choreographer for Lamondance Company in North Vancouver, and soon became its artistic director and resident choreographer. He also became a Canadian citizen. Davi is infallibly optimistic, one of the most positive, passionate and generous artists you will ever meet. Lamondance is a training and performing dance company dedicated to training aspiring young dancers for a professional career in dance. And under Davi's leadership, Lamondance has become one of Vancouver's premier training programs for emerging dancers and a career launchpad for young artists. The training program sets out to cultivate thinking dancers who can apply their knowledge, commitment, versatility and skill. The company is taught to Brazil and Germany, and many of its dancers now perform with leading companies worldwide. To find out more about Davi, you can go to the website lamondance.com/artistic director. And of course, he's joining us to also talk about Lamondance Company today. I am joined by Davi Rodrigues. He is the artistic director of Lamondance and many other things, a choreographer, dancer, a very special person in our community. And I am very much looking forward to speaking with him and for you to hear about his life and his vision and plans. And first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And I would love to hear about your career path in dance, as surmised as you would like it to be for our listeners, leading us up to, kind of why we're talking today with Lamondance and everything. But give us a little bit of your history, if you don't mind.
Oh, for sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I'm looking forward to see what we can talk about. But it's quite extensive when you ask, someone
Yep,
about
it is.
how you got where you are right now. But I would try my very best to comprise everything. I have been always, since I remember understanding my being a human being in this planet, I have been always wanted to be an artist. Before was to be an actor, and that guided me through to find dance, because the group that I was as a little boy involved to be an actor, they were having movement classes, and that time I was in love with dance. So I have been dancing since of the age of 6. I started with jazz and I never stopped. And my funny or not, I got a job when I was 15 years old. My dance teacher said, there's an audition happening with this company, very famous company in Brasilia, the city that I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I think you should go. You have something that you're very talented. So I did go. To be super honest, I joke about it because it was a group of adults, and then I was just a 15 years old boy, and everybody would go to the left, I would go to the right. And that time I thought it was good. You know what I mean? Like, I am good. Then I got the job. And there with that company, I stayed with for 5 years. The company no longer exists. It's called Aplauso Cia de Dança. And the director, Junior O'Hara, whom I learned so much from, he was actually my inspiration, because while dancing with him, developing my voice as a dancer, I also had this passion of being a creator. So I always asked myself, how does Junior, get his ideas. I can't understand. And he was really talented. And I danced with them for 5 years. Parallel to that, I started to develop my own project. I call it a project. And through that project, I learned so much because I was the choreographer, the director, the dancer, lighting designer. I was everything. And a younger human being taking care of a large group of people. It was interesting because in this life you think you're prepared, but you're always learning. And I stopped dancing with Aplauso because that project, Cia Criatividança, and then we gave a nickname of Cria, which means creativity, became a huge thing in my life. We were well known in Brasilia and around the cities in Brazil too. I started to develop more my voice as a choreographer, dancing less and less. Not that I didn't love dance, I love dancing. I like the stage is a very sacred, magical place for me. I
Mhm.
still miss it. The creation part of it, Claire, it was has been something that I have always been passionate about it. So
Mhm.
then with Criatividança, I stayed for 13 years of my life.
Mhm.
And there was a moment, I started very young. Even when I was dancing with Aplauso, Junior would come and say, I think you should stop. Don't do your project. You're young, you're very talented, you should dance more. And when you get
Mhm.
older, you should have your dance company, your project. But I was a little bit stubborn. And I said, no, I can do both. But today, I do have a value on, give a value to that feedback that he gave to me. I don't regret the things I did, but perhaps I could have embraced a little bit longer my career as a dancer. But I always think that life is preparing you for the future. You understand why I am saying this to you. Then with Criatividança, I stayed for 13 years and I was young and I started to miss dancing. And with the management of people, show, not having support from the government, because that project was a dance company, but based on grants. Whenever we had the grants, everybody got paid. If we did not have the grants, the company itself, the dancers, we would put money to produce the shows, right?
Mhm.
And I started to get tired of that and I thought, I need to dance again. I want to be seen. I want someone to tell me what to do. I want to go back
Right,
to
right, right.
classes. I don't want to
Yeah.
tell anyone what to do. And I'm done. And a huge opportunity happened because in Brasilia, my city, there was this well-known international dance seminar. It's almost like a summer program,
Mm.
but it was for the
Yes.
duration of 1 month.
Yep.
And my company, Criatividança, used to open that because they have a show to open and then introduce the guest teachers, the
Mhm.
international teachers, and local teachers as well. And my company was one of the companies that was always invited to open. But in that year, 2007, I decided to take the classes, be one of the dancers competing as well.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little bit. My age was a little bit advanced for that, but I said, you know what? If that's the change that I need, I
Yeah.
will go through that. So then, throughout this month of training, taking classes with these many teachers, I got the opportunity to come to Canada
Oh.
because my choreographer from Aplauso, Junior O'Hara, he had another company, like a way more professional company, like with a small number of dancers. And one
Mhm.
of these dancers used to dance with him, but she was no longer dancing there because she moved to Vancouver. Her name is Monica
Mm.
Pranza, and
Yeah,
I grew
wonderful.
up watching Monica performing, and Monica was a star. And I remember as if today I was in the audience and she was performing a piece that Junior created. and I was in love with her. Years later,
Mm,
she came to visit us at Applauso. So in that seminar, Monica was part of the jury, one of the
mhm.
teachers that would come and teach for a month. And she was talking, Davi, what are you doing? And I explained her like, I'm kind of tired. I want to stop my project here.
Mm.
And Claire, you will laugh. At that time, I was also auditioning for Cirque du Soleil, but not
Oh,
to be
great.
a dancer.
Okay. Okay.
I, funny or not, I really enjoy. They call it physical actors, but at that time I was applying to be a clown.
Yeah, like the
Because,
characters in the shows, right? An
yes,
actual role in a way. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Great.
I was auditioning for them. I mean, trying very hard. I had a feeling. I auditioned for Cirque du Soleil so much. The
Hmm.
time that you used to send DVDs.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that whenever someone would get my DVD, they would say, "Hey guys, again, Davi,
Again, here he is.
who wants to see?"
Persistence, Devi, very important. Yeah,
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 so I
very
mentioned that
important.
to her, and she looked at me and said, and she didn't say anything.
Mm,
And the day after, she said, "Come here, I want to talk to you." She said, "Listen, I know you're ready, you're a professional, but I want to give this opportunity to you, so you can open your eyes to see what's happening outside Brasilia, outside Brazil, and I can only offer you a student visa to come and study. You can take my classes. We can develop some works together. But I just want to be that help or that person that really supports you." The
wow.
moment that she said that, I didn't think twice. I said, "Yes, I want this.
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
no money to support myself there,
Hmm.
but I will figure something out." So I
Yeah.
kept that as a secret throughout the whole month. I didn't say anyone to anyone, my company, my mom, anyone. It was hard to keep that as a secret. So long story short, I decided to come. I sold my car. The
Yeah.
only thing I had, I the semester I went to physical education in Brazil. So to finish, if I'm not wrong, you need to complete 7 semesters of that course
Hmm.
to get to finish. And I was going to finish to the seventh. I remember going to the university and all of my friends, what classes are you going to take? This and that. Because at that time, Brasilia did not have a university for dance. So I thought physical education would be the closest. Actually, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful course. It's a beautiful. I learned so much. I changed my way of teaching because when you start to know more about the body and everything in deep details, your mind change, your way of moving, breathing, everything change. So I
Yeah.
really value the people that wants to become a PE, a physical education.
Yeah.
So then my friend said, "What classes are you going to take?" I said, "I'm not taking any classes. I'm actually pausing the course." "You're crazy. You're crazy.
So
Why are you
close.
doing
So
this?
close.
You're so close. You're crazy." "No, I just got an opportunity. If I don't embrace that right now, I don't think that it will ever happen again." "No, finish this, finish it." I said, "No, it's already, I made my decision." And Claire, I do not regret a thing. I do miss
It
going to
was,
school. It's something that I'm thinking of doing right now, but
yeah.
I don't regret. So I came for 6 months. I worked with Monica Proenza at R&B Dance because they did have this program, a scholarship program that bring international students to stay there for 6 months, and
Great.
we always doing that. I was the second group, part of the second group that came,
Yeah.
and then I studied here. I came here with no English. Honest, to be super honest, second week during the second week I was like, "Oh,
Too hard. Yeah.
I don't want to be here. What have
Mm.
I done? I don't know the language. Everything's so weird." But persistency, right? You need to
Yeah.
understand that things they don't come
Well,
easy.
and you had another, there was another why, right? There was another motivation for you that you'd already put into the world by going back as a student as for the month long. You kind of made that meeting happen with Monica. So, I think there's something quite wonderful.
I always say that to the dancers that I teach. When I came
Mm,
here, there wasn't a
mm,
level class for me at the school. So I
Mm.
honestly went back to take baby classes.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a 16, 17 years old class that I was taking with them, but I went back to the foundation and it was amazing
Yeah.
because you give the value and the time to understand the foundation of everything again. It was quite something.
That's great because I think there's something about the also being in a new environment completely where you are already having to adapt because you're learning so many new things, and to allow that to actually influence and infiltrate your own body as a dancer is so valuable. And that's obviously what you continue to share and teach. And you can do that from experience with your students. You're not teaching them, you've had experience of change, right? And so you are able to use that in their experiences, and I feel like help them be open to changes that are happening in their lives, especially kind of at the ages that they're at and the opportunities you give them. So I think maybe this could lead quite nicely. And as you've alluded to already, your earlier days of wanting to do everything and like almost kind of be in control or lead a project or have the vision come from lots of different angles. That's how I like to see it as a choreographer, is that the dancing part is one aspect of being a choreographer. There are all of the other elements that your ideas or visions are being influenced by or are inspired by, and you're working out how to put them into a dance form or how dance form relates to those ideas. So some of the ideas can be physicalized, but some of them are in other disciplines. They're in the lighting design, they're in the, kind of other things. In the composition, not necessarily the dance moves, right? They're in different places. And so, and in how you are exploring. So I feel like this leads quite nicely. You as a choreographer is one thing, and then as a dancer is another, and then as a mentor and as a leader of a group of people, both at the level of training and then at the level of company. Could you talk a little bit maybe about that, first in supporting and nurturing young dancers, and then maybe the model that you work with where you have that training, but then you also offer the opportunity for company. So maybe just talk about how you nurture, or even maybe how you, I know auditions are coming up as well for you. So maybe this could be a little bit of insight into what you are looking for because of how you work with the students. Does that make sense? So how do you support them? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe I can start talking about this, explaining the audition process. And then I believe from there you can have perhaps a better vision on of Davi's intake as a mentor. So the audition process, as a dancer myself, I find a very difficult thing for a dancer because today is the audition. I perhaps not feeling well, but that's the only day that I have to show the director everything I have. But what if it physically I'm not capable to? And the way that I like to see in the history of Lamondance itself, we only had one audition that I had to ask people to leave as we went because it was too many. Otherwise, the audition would be hours and hours and hours. It was in
Yeah.
Brazil actually. We had like in one day 150 dancers applying. So that
Wow.
day was brutal because I was
Yeah.
confronting my the things that I did not want to do, but I had to. But
Ah,
we usually let everybody stay for the class, ballet class, which is just a short portion of the audition. And what
yeah.
I'm interested to see, Claire, is the passion. Is the
Mm-hmm.
passion that that individual will bring to the phrases, the repertoire of the company that
Mm-hmm.
they are learning. We usually teach them two completely different phrases, so we can see the differences of
Yeah.
the approaches that the individual, the dancer, will be bringing to both, and from there we see how, as a dancer, as a passionate dancer, that dancer will be collaborating with the environment, which is, again, going back, a stressful audition. Everybody's nervous. Me behind the table, I'm also nervous, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that everybody, I keep saying, don't think of an audition. Think about you sharing the love of dance. Of course, there's some aspects, technical aspects, certain ears that the dancer needs to have in terms of technique and stuff like that. But I have beautiful examples of a dancer that came to us doing the ballet class. It wasn't as advanced like the other dancers, but throughout the repertoire, I was so in love with what that dancer that I was like, I really need that to give the opportunity to that lady because technique, I can always think that we can improve because the training program, the company, we always offer classes. And I know that dancers are very disciplined and dedicated, so they will approach that. But passion is something very hard for you to really implement in someone. Of course, people fall in love, but I want to see a dancer that has the passion already because that
Mhm.
will elevate the work environment, the space. For the longest time, the artists that I bring to guest teach or be a choreographer for Lamont, one of the first things that they always tell me is like, wow, you have a group of passionate dancers. When I arrived, I felt the love, I felt the respect, I felt their need to give me more and learn from me. And it makes me happy because that's the type of environment that I believe I would be as a dancer would like to involve myself with. Of course, there are always the little things, the each dancer treating the each dancer as an individual, not as a number, because imagine you are valid, you're there because you love to dance, no matter where you came from, no matter how many years of study of classical ballet training you had. The worst thing for me is to be treated as a number, and that's how I try to guide each dancer at Lamondance as a mentor. And
Mhm.
I think that's important, at least from what I have seen around,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it seems to me that you also there's something about them learning to trust in their own passion, to trust their own passion, so that they're so when you say they must be passionate, that doesn't look a certain way. Like every individual shows their passion for dance in a slightly different way, but it's the trusting in their passion for dancing that then an audience and you in the audition room and then their colleagues and the choreographers they work with and the audiences can actually also, can resonate with them. So I think that's seems to be what you do really do help nurture and cultivate that, it seems.
I
Yeah.
think you said it beautifully. That the trust,
Yeah.
to trust is to give people the opportunity to do more, to further know you, right? Is to be
Yeah.
vulnerable. When we closed the Vancouver International Dance Festival, there was a Q&A, and
Mhm.
someone asked me through the online YouTube
Mhm.
questions why my pieces were so vulnerable. Um,
Mhm.
and why the dancers were able to portray that on stage. And I believe if I said something along the line saying, I cannot ask my dancers to be vulnerable if I'm not vulnerable in front of them. I
Mhm.
don't believe I like to sit and talk with them like on the same level. I don't stand and they are below me. I
Mhm.
believe in this environment, we are always learning. I'm not only the teacher, but I'm also the student because society is changing. This new generation is changing, and I need to learn from them too. I have a
Mhm.
huge experience, but that's not enough. I need to
Mhm.
continue to add my experience with whatever the world is becoming right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So when I'm rehearsing them, either my pieces or other creations, I'm very honest, saying, "Wow, I need a minute to digest what I just saw," because it was so the honesty, the trust of whatever they were doing at that moment made me feel something. And as an educator, as a choreographer, as an artist, and as an audience member,
Mhm.
watching someone on stage, that's what I'm interested. I want to be moved. I want to be transported to a place where when I go home, months after watching them perform, I'm still thinking about the feeling, about how they made me feel. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. We always remember how people made us feel, either good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And that's a
Yeah.
memory that stays with us, either positive or negative.
Yeah, and I think as well in the same that's also on us and our responsibility to put things out in the world where people can feel positive. You know, we have a responsibility to act in a certain way so that people can respond to something. So if we put out negativity in the world, for example, and then they're going to respond to that, they will remember a negative feeling. They will remember a negative response in that situation. So it's kind of, yeah, it's interesting for me because there's this element of theatrical or intention or an element bringing back your acting kind of penchant for acting back in the day in your youth that maybe is also informs a level of performance, right? Or a level of performance that you're interested in with the dancers and a theatricality that you're interested in. The scale of the work also then kind of allows for narrative or emotions to come, like subtext and all of those things to come up. Yeah. Yeah. It's very beautiful. I do want to mention, though, I think, and I told you this in advance, that I might mention this as I was doing my research around your website and things. I was intrigued by how you had added a success stories section to your website and how so you mention graduates of the program, which is beautiful, and there are testimonials about Lamondance, but more than that, the people that are on there actually show that some of them didn't. They'll always be dancers because, once a dancer, always a dancer, but not as professional dancers, and they've moved into other careers. And there is something about the confidence that was instilled in them that they've declared, announced in their testimonials, that helped them decide what they wanted to do with their lives, that helped them decide who they wanted to be in the world. And I think that's a really powerful thing. So I think that's obviously important to you because you've added it to success stories, but I think there is something about that which I think is maybe sets you apart a little bit, or the company and the training apart, because it feels holistic. Not that others aren't holistic, but just that it's part of, the motivation behind it for you too, I think. Would you like to talk to that a little bit? Or
Yeah, at the training program, I can say that when they get to us, will be lovely in the sense of Lamondesse is just a small organization.
Mhm,
Hopes one day we could grow a little bit more, but at this point, we're still a baby organization. And
mhm,
when it comes to a training context, I try to give them, to share them the experiences that I had in my own company, Criatividança, and with the Applauso, where we were also small, and then we had to do everything. We need to put
mhm,
the Marley down. We need to help cleaning the theater. We need to help creating the set design or costume. So that gave us my two projects that I did in Brazil this idea where dance is not only about dancing, performing on stage, but it gives us a range of possibilities that you could go. As a training dancer, you may get a dancer that really loves to dance, but perhaps discover the passion to become a teacher, to become like Davi, a choreographer, or rehearsal director, or any possibilities that the world of performance can provide. And at Lamondance training, we make sure that they all go through that process of understanding the possibilities that dance can take. So I think that's important because when I also mentioned that to the dancers, when you're paying for a training program, you're investing in your future. And if you tried auditioning for places, and today it's quite hard to get a job as a dancer, there's so many beautiful artists out there, and the spots are just a few. But what if, okay, I want to open my own studio. I want to work for a big company that just opened a job position as a rehearsal director. So the idea behind is, of course, to train them to for the performance work, but also to show the possibilities ahead. Because look, I am a living proof of that, right? And I think that's fantastic. So with the program and the company itself, they are asked to help to with the production of the show, with the, for instance, sometimes we ask the dancers from the professional company to teach a class for the training program, or to support a rehearsal director doing the rehearsals, and that creates like a merge in between the training and the company, so they both see the possibilities. Either or, I could be a dancer with the professional company, but also could help the training program with whatever they need. So I think that's something magical that we provide.
I agree. I was just going to say, in that merging, is it usual for somebody from who's been trained by Lamondance to become a Lamondance company dancer?
Yeah, right now the majority of the members of the company, they came from the training program.
Hmm.
The company is a baby. The professional company is a baby.
Yeah.
We started the
Right.
prototype before COVID. COVID happened, everything, the whole
Yeah.
kerfuffle that happened with COVID. And now, most recently, we were able to solidify what the company is. We
Hmm.
have 6 dancers there, and now we just have the first leg of auditions. And the majority of people they were applying for that
Hmm.
position for the company was huge. So we had 3 auditions over the course of the 6 months that we are about to experience,
Hmm.
and so far 82 people applied, which is a huge number for us.
It's
So
wonderful.
yes,
Wow.
so the majority of them came from the training program, and which makes one of my goals to always have a company, professional company, attached to a training, because then we will, some of these training dancers would like to continue dancing involved with the company Lamondance itself. So it would
Hmm.
be a hub of, that almost like they said this word the other day, like you have your own ecosystem. You produce your dancers, you hire your dancers, and you hire them to other things as well, not only as a dancer, but to do other things. So I find that really important. However, we do not limit those positions only to our dancers, because then won't be fair. So
Hmm.
again, it's
Yeah.
not everybody from the training program that wants to continue to be a dancer or to actually perform with Lamont Dance. They also apply for other companies around the world, and etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was more about the merger. Actually how it practically works, and you definitely did answer the question. But I also, in your answer to the question, there's also, for me, I can very much feel the potential of what you've built and what you're interested in, the vision, the bigger vision that you have. So I feel like it's how it's working now, and then there's all this potential for how it could potentially work in the future, and what you're working towards, I feel is very clear. So that's really wonderful, and congratulations. That's a wonderful amount of
Oh,
people,
thank you.
and even being able to offer people the opportunity to audition for something like that, I think right now is huge. Like, to help the positive, to keep it vital, to have an active presence for people to come and be able to join in and to contribute and to be part of these worlds, is it's all the more important for us to feel like that's what we're doing, like the inclusivity of it, but also the, yeah, inclusivity, and then the presence, having a presence and the profile, I think, is really important. So that's really great. So how would you, I think you've explained a little bit how Lamondance fits into the dance scene in Vancouver. I think that's quite clear. But is there anything else you'd like to say about that? Because I feel like there are two things, like you yourself and your experience in Brazil, and being able to bring that and bring a community and go back to that community, I think, is one of the unique elements. And I think also it feels like it's a very contemporary company and not necessarily contemporary ballet, which I think is another thing as well. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, the kinds of choreographers you work with, your experience and your connections with Brazil still.
Hmm. Oh my goodness, I love to talk about that.
Oh, good.
How Lamont Dance fits in the community. We have been around for 15 years. That's how I said we're still a baby organization. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things that I find, I could be absolutely wrong about this, there is a thing about artists or even dancers not wanting to cross the bridge because
Oh.
of the commute. So therefore, sometimes I feel that we are not, people don't know about Lamondance because of that. Understand? But we have been here for the past 15 years. We are very
So
proud.
meaning that you're in North Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
so we were born from a studio called R&B Dance. We were a
Mhm.
program, professional training program from their studio. So Lamont became this huge thing, and then we decided to become a nonprofit organization to support us for grants and all of that. And we are still in partnership with R&B. They provide us this beautiful space, and
Nice.
sometimes I find hard to, how can I say this nicely? There's a cost for us to bring artists to Norvan,
Yeah.
and because of the commute, you know what I mean, that they need to do.
Okay.
So that side of the picture makes me sad.
I know what you mean because I grew up in London and I used to go to stage school part time. I went to another, I got the train to school. I was in different places all the time. I was always commuting, was like at least 2 hours of my day. And I don't ever regret that travel time to get the experiences, to have the experiences I had ever. Like it was part of living in a city. So I think there was something about, if you want that level of training, you will travel for it. But how do you get people to understand the significance of the training they're going to get? And until they are in the room getting that training, they can't know how important and relevant it is to their lives that they're getting it. So I think there's something about, the only advice I could give is just be doing something when you're commuting that is worthwhile to you, and use that time, that commuting time, wisely, because it's so worth it, and
Yes,
because of the stuff that happens in the middle. So just time management,
time
people.
management.
And also, as freelance dance artists, that will be one of the biggest things that you can learn, is how to manage your time, and that kind of time, because there's an awful lot of commuting in Canada, right?
Absolutely. And there is a talk that we could potentially bring the organization to downtown Vancouver. But as I
Hmm.
said, we are a baby organization. It will require a lot of thinking. That's the part that I would love to see more artists from the our community saying, yes, I will go to Norvan. Of course, I understand that people are busy with their own grants and projects. I'm talking about some guests that I potentially
Yeah, yeah,
invite.
yeah. Choreographers and teachers. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, some of
Yeah.
them, the ones that actually approach me, Davi, I have seen what you're doing for Lamondance. I would love to go there. And then that's
Hmm.
so easy, and they go and they have fun. And some of the other guests that I would love to, their dancers to have an experience, they're also busy. So there are a lot of things that adds to the
Hmm.
picture as well. But I'm very proud to be in the community and for being active in a community
Hmm.
as Lamondance company, providing not only the training, not only the company, but small projects here and there, helping emerging choreographers to establish themselves, offering them a place for them to work with the training or with the company. That has been one of my mission to provide that space, because there are a lot of beautiful voices out there, and they just need one person. I always tell everybody, you only need one person to see what you do, because first, of course, you need to believe it, that you do is valid, you want to be shared, but someone that's not you needs to see the work you do and give you that little push, because then the rest is on you and the work to provide that space for you to grow as an artist, right? So I'm
Yeah.
proud to say that Lamont Dance has been a place that my focus is to first give the opportunity to local choreographers,
Hmm.
then international choreographers,
Yeah.
because there's so much to explore here in BC. so many
Mm-hmm.
artists. So for the past 3 years, we had dance novella directed by co-directed by Rachel
Yep.
Prince and Brendan Alley,
Mm-hmm.
being choreographers in residence at Lamondance, and I am extremely happy to be for being able to give them 3 years of opportunity to develop their voice, continue to develop their voice. So I'm happy to provide that space for them, for emerging choreographers to flourish, to continue to explore ideas, because Lamont Dance is not only the one winning. The choreographers are winning, the dancers that are in the projects are winning, the other people involved in the production will be also winning, learning. It's like a hub where everybody will be learning. So that's quite phenomenal. And how am I connected with Brazil? The International Dance Festival that I used to go
Mm-hmm.
no longer exists. COVID was a huge factor to make that decision, which is very sad. It was a beautiful project that got together artists from international choreographers, teachers, and also choreographers from Brazil, all together, sharing the room, sharing the knowledge with so many dancers
Mm-hmm.
throughout the month. But I do have friends. Most recently, we have my way to connect with my country was to bring a guest choreographer from Brazil, Alex Neural. His his company is called Focus Cia de Dança. He's based in Rio de Janeiro. We first saw each other when he actually came to Vancouver through the dance center. I'm not so sure what the program was, but the dance center brought them
Mm-hmm.
to
Great.
perform. And I was like, wow, I want you to come and work with Lamont. And we finally made that happen this season. Last November, actually, we had the show at the dance center called Triple Bill, and he was one of the
Great.
choreographers.
Yeah.
And my way of connecting with my country is to make sure that I don't lose my voice. I'm a Canadian citizen right now, but I'm also Brazilian. So I try
Mm.
to stay with truth through my roots, and there's conversations of bringing choreographers from Brazil. That's one of the things that I want to continue on doing. But again, the financial side of things, I need to be
Yeah.
very smart as I do
Yeah.
that. And of me going back there and choreographing and teaching as well. There's those things that I want to continue doing. I wasn't able
Great.
just because Lamont dance is so demanding.
Mm-hmm.
My time here
Yeah.
with them is crazy.
So do you run like January to December, or is it September to do you have a do you go September to June, or September to, is that how you tend to work?
We start September, yeah,
Yeah.
9 months,
Mm-hmm.
September to June, but it's really like demanding, like so much to do, and then I really try to make sure to that the training program are well assisted,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's a fundamental part
Yeah.
for them to get.
Yeah.
And now with the company working side by side, it's a lot of
Yeah.
things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you put on shows downtown. You choose, theaters to put the shows on, which I think is wonderful because you bring the work to, the downtown, which is really great. But that in itself is an ordeal, like worthwhile, obviously, but it's a thing in itself to put on the shows. Yeah, that's really wonderful. So I would just like to mention, well, you've talked about COVID a little bit and how we were all, everybody globally had to adapt, and a lot of people had to kind of stop for a while. And I know that did impact, obviously, and you being able to run the program. But I do think you adapted very well and very quickly. And coming out of COVID, I think you're one of the most positive people of a resurgence of Lamondance, and kind of feel with it not just an urgency, but a kind of momentum to actually use this to grow. And I know that you said with Janet Smith, I think in Stir magazine, Janet Smith mentioned your powers of visualization, which I also feel very strongly from you, and that you're kind of willing all of this positive energy and focused energy into existence. So could you talk a little bit about what Lamont Dance's future is, and at the same time, maybe what you're doing right now, like there's the Vancouver International Dance Festival, the Dance Center, so those things, but then also a little bit beyond. So just give us to finish, let's just do a Davi vision board for
Definitely.
One Dance's future.
If I share, it will be two hours of podcast here.
Uh,
I will
I know.
summarize.
How about I give you 3 minutes? How's
Okay,
that
3 minutes
sound?
is fantastic. So,
Okay, go.
I mean, one of the things that I really wanted to do in terms of what's the future of Lamondance, it's continue to flourish the company and the training program, of course, and to try to bring the company and the training to downtown, to be located downtown. It's hard because, again, we have this beautiful organization that has have been helping us for the past 15 years. But then I feel that bringing the company to now work from downtown will allow us to see a little bit of more dancers in terms of accepting more dancers. The training program will limit ourselves to only accept 20 dancers because, as I said earlier, we want to treat the dancers as an individual with something to offer instead of a number. So that's one of the goals that we have. I don't know when this will happen, but it's on
Mm-hmm,
talks, and to continue to provide these shows that we do for the community and travel with them. I think
mm-hmm,
the
travel.
most powerful thing is to give the dancers also the opportunity to tour and to show what we produce here in BC worldwide. So we used to take them to this festival that I mentioned a couple of
Yeah.
times, International Dance Festival, and it was transformative experience for all of the Canadians,
Mm-hmm,
especially because we were able to see to go to a third world country and see what we Canadians we have and compare with a different world and then say, hey, I will value way more the things that I have based on the things I saw, their experience. So I have been distanced myself from creating new things. I supposed to be one of the choreographers for the triple bill that we performed last
mm-hmm,
November, but I felt that I wasn't ready. I had an idea in a project. Everything was there for me to
mm-hmm,
work with the dance, but I didn't feel ready just because for the past years my voice as a mentor and as an administrator it's
yeah.
grown because, as I said, it's a baby organization. We don't have the funds to hire yet other professionals to take care of certain things that you may know a little bit but you're not good at it because other people they are. It's
Mm-hmm,
happening, so it's on a goal. My goal is to hire, to have a support system, a team that will actually flourish Lamont dance to its full potential, so then I can really exercise my voice as an artistic director and as a visionary choreographer, because I do have two projects that I really want to create. And next season I want to bring Before Dawn, which is the creation that I spoke to Janet for the international Vancouver International Dance Festival, because so interesting. Before COVID happened, I had the urge to talk about exactly that. Like, we need to value now. We need to love, forgive, laugh, cry now before it's
mm-hmm.
too late. So I was writing this piece, and all of a sudden the world went upside down with
Oh,
COVID.
yeah.
I was like, wow, this is insane. So that's the creation that I ended up doing for the Vancouver International Dance Festival based on
Mm-hmm.
that. And I be
Great.
bringing back that next week. And I think that will be a great step for me to go back to my roots as a choreographer.
Mm-hmm. So, are you saying that that will be performed this year?
When I say we are in season 14 of Lamondance, we are the company is performing next year.
Great.
Part of their program will be
Great.
next year.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so true now, right? It's helpful at the moment to also be thinking of that. We need to laugh and cry, and now we need to stay. We need to stay with our feelings and with things that are resonating with us, so that we can act on them and move forward with them. Like, and actually with awareness, with awareness about how we're feeling about moments and what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot achieve at this moment without losing our dreams. So I think
Absolutely,
that's,
especially now coming has been what,
yeah,
3 years from COVID now. So
yeah,
there's a huge difference on what the training from the training program are experiencing. I noticed
yeah,
that we need to respect and be honest with what they are feeling right now. because they just came back from a time where nothing was possible, and now we come
Yeah.
to this scary word that I'm allowed to touch, but I don't know how to behave. So has been a very interesting learning curve to get to mentorship these young artists after
Yeah.
COVID. So yeah, we need to, I really value when they are crying, when they they are laughing, but we still keep the professional level. And then I think that's a beautiful thing for us to take in consideration, because tomorrow, as Nina Simone says, may never come. So
May
you
never
may
come.
be present today and value the feelings that you're feeling today.
Hmm. And I think that's a really wonderful place to, just be reminded of the what being in a professional environment means today. Also has you're in this place, right? It might be very different to how you trained, how I trained, how like certain environments, but then there's the necessity of the time we are in, and uh, the interactions that we are having as human beings in these professional environments. So there's a kind of sensitivity, and like you say, but it is a professional environment, and so managing that and being able to kind of steward, the young people into that environment, but at the same time being open to what they consider to be a professional environment, or environments they want to be in and they want to work in. That's the other thing, they're able to kind of show you, right, in how they are relating to each other and to you. So I think it's a beautiful time to be a mentor and an educator. Very important time. Yeah.
It is. It's quite challenging because, as I
Yeah.
said, there are moments that I'm so vulnerable in front of them that I say, I mean, there are some times that I'm so like, no, why are you doing this? And then I go back and say, no,
Mm,
go back.
mm-hmm,
They were not trained from the time that you were trained. Things
mm-hmm,
happen. Listen, sit down,
mm-hmm,
observe, say nothing. And from that mantra, I go back and understand way more how I could, in a way, facilitate the room for them, because that's what I'm telling them. I'm not there to drive their cars. I'm just in a passenger seat that sometimes we say, okay, keep driving. Okay, now it is time for you to stop and enjoy the view, put some gas on. So I really use that analogy about the car with them, because I think it says it all. Because sometimes around their age, they just want to drive. They really want to get that job as professional dancer, but they're not putting gasoline. They're not stopping. They're not resting. They're not doing the things that they're supposed to do when you're driving a car.
mm-hmm,
Really seeing who is around,
mm-hmm.
and that takes away the opportunity for them, and then they get burned out. I no longer want to be a dancer anymore. I hate dance.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happened that happened. So I think
Yeah.
it is time for us as mentors to be present and to treat each individual, each dancer as its own, and facilitate, open the room for them to grow and flourish.
Yeah. Wonderful. Drive our own cars and be in the passenger seat of the other people.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending the time, Debbie. I really appreciate it. It was really great. And yeah, look forward to seeing your show at the Dance Center. Do you have a date for us?
Yes, we have a few shows coming up. So our
Yeah.
next project will be actually at the Dance Center, April 20th, part of the Discovery.
Discover Dance. Yeah, the Discover Dance series. A noon show.
And
Yeah.
we are performing a new work from a guest choreographer from Toronto, Jara Wolf. He's an Indigenous choreographer, so we're super excited
Great.
to be
Yeah, wonderful.
creating that. And
Yeah,
our season finale show, which will happen June 1st and 2nd at the Blue Shore Financial Center for the Performing Arts at Capilano. There we will be
great.
sharing pieces of guest choreographers and a few works, three works from my repertoire.
Great.
So it's going to be a beautiful show, a small show, not long, but very powerful. So
Mhm.
the activities that we are working on, if people wants to get all these dates, they're all on our website.
Yeah, on your website, and we will add them as well to the podcast. We'll put links to your
Fantastic.
website.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Great.
I hope I was able to share a little bit. I have a tendency to talk a lot, And
Me too,
so,
but I enjoyed listening to you, so I didn't talk as much as I usually do. But yeah, no, that was really great, though. There's lots of wonderful information there, and it's always lovely to have the context. And of course, I'll probably speak to you again further down the line, and maybe even about a specific piece. And so it's nice to have different conversations and just have this opportunity to connect. And connect you to our listeners too, in
well, thank
slightly
you.
different way.
I'm thankful for the opportunity.
A pleasure. Have a lovely day.
You too. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. We would love for you to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, as this will help other listeners find us and help us to grow our dance audience. We'll be back next month. In the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook at The Dance Centre, Twitter at Dance Centre, and Instagram at The Dance Centre BC. And if you'd like to support our work, please consider making a donation. Just go to our website at thedancecentre.ca, where you'll find extensive information about our upcoming programs and events. The music for the Dance Centre podcast was composed by James B. Maxwell. Always a pleasure to connect with you through dance. Until next time.